الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في الكتاب الكريم بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. We begin in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We begin by praising Him, by glorifying Him. We begin by declaring His perfection. As everything in the heavens and the earth, everything that is seen and everything that is unseen is glorifying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And all this creation that we see around us, with the perfection, with the harmony that Allah has made, it is a sign that shows us about the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you look at, for example, how our bodies work, how every single cell works and knows exactly what to do, and the hearts and the lungs, and they all work together in this perfect system. But when you go out of the body, you look at the universe and you see how the creation is all intertwined and all interdependent on each other. The plants grow because of the sunrise and water coming down from the sky, and the days and the nights alternating around each other. And the human beings, we wake up during the day and sleep at night. And the 4 seasons from the tilt of the earth, all of them are signs. And you see the phases of the moon. And you see the way the time passes, day by day by day, and the way our age grows day by day, and the moon phases. Slowly, new moon, full moon, then back to new moon. All of this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I created it as a sign. So that you can look at all of this and say, Subhanaka, glory be to you. Exalted are you. مَا خَلَقْتَ هَذَا بَاطِلًا. You didn't create all of this without purpose. You didn't create this for no reason. There is definitely a reason behind all of this. There is definitely a purpose behind this entire creation. And when you look at the droplets of rain coming down, they serve a purpose. The bees, I started gardening this year for the first time. I have never loved bees more than before. Because I notice now, the flowers that grow on these little, cucumber plants, they don't just grow cucumbers. They need the bee to come there and move from flower to flower to flower and pollinate all of these different plants. And without the bees, you cannot have any kind of fruits. And subhanAllah, Allah created this amazing, intricate system where everything depends on everything. And everything depends solely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the entire creation. And Allah, He doesn't need any of it, subhanAllah. And so the whole thing is really praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we begin by praising Allah. We begin by glorifying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says in the Quran, O you who believe, have taqwa of Allah. O believers, be conscious of Allah. Be aware of Allah. Be afraid of Allah. Be afraid of being distant from Allah. Be afraid of losing the favor of Allah. Be afraid of losing the blessings of Allah. Be afraid of Allah in that sense, the way He deserves, as is His right. وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. And don't leave this world except in a state of Islam. Islam is the only state you should be in when you go to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so, we're going through this world, we're going through this life, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he gave us the ways a Muslim behaves. He showed us how a Muslim is supposed to live, how a Muslim is supposed to behave in their actions, in their thoughts, in their feelings, in their intentions towards other people. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Al-Muslimu man salima al-Muslimuna min lisanihi wa yadihi. A Muslim is the one, from his tongue and from his hands, other Muslims are safe. A Muslim is the one who loves for his brother what he loves for himself. A Muslim is the one who intends good for others. A Muslim is the one who is concerned about others. A Muslim is the one who is sincere. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the believers. They are successful. Who are they? When they stand up to worship, they have khushu. They have this sense of presence with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they protect themselves from shameless things. And Allah gives many examples of believers. Rasulullah showed us many, many ways a Muslim behaves. And one of the things that stands out absolutely as a proof of Iman, that yes, this man believes in Allah. Yes, this woman believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The proof of iman, sadaqah, he said sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Sadaqah is proof. Why sadaqah is proof? Because when we're in this world, we are only seeing this world. And we are looking at the world of asbab, the way that things work, the means. This happens, then that happens. If you are hungry, you need to get some food. And when you eat the food, then your hunger will go away. If you need money, you need to get a job. Then you'll make some money and you will have no more need for it. And some people will have no more need for it. Others still have need for money all their life. But the way the world of asbab works is, money looks like it's the most important thing for many people. And they'll trade their time for it, they'll trade their energy for it, they'll go to school for many years, and they'll go 20 years of their life studying this, studying that. What makes the most money for me? And it has a very high value for the human beings. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rightly so says, زُيَّنَ لِلنَّاسِ, Allah has beautified for mankind. What? The desire for the opposite gender, and having lots of piles of gold and silver, land, and nice rides. Allah says, I have made this beautified for you by nature. It's in our nature we love money. It's in our nature we love, the desire for the opposite gender, having a big house, having a nice car. This is the way Allah created us. But you know what's greater than all of this? The pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the believer, when they are seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what happens is there's this programming that gets activated in their mind. And like programming, when you program something in, you usually give a code. There's some language you put in there. If this happens, then do this. If this happens, then do this. A believer is programmed with just one word. Allahu Akbar. Allah is greater. That's it. All of Islam, if you boil it down to, it comes down to this. Allah is greater. And so, when a believer looks out to the world is challenging. The world is testing place. It's an arena where our hearts are being tugged at, and all these different things are pulling at us in every different direction. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us, Allahu Akbar. Child is born, just comes into this world. The first words he hears, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Right? The adhan. And every day we wake up, we enter the prayer, and the first thing we say, Allahu Akbar, takbiratul ihram. The takbir that makes everything haram. Why does it make everything haram? Because when you enter the prayer, you're in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You say, Allahu Akbar. You can't eat anymore. You can't drink anymore. You can't answer your phone and say, hey, I'm praying right now, let me call you back. None of that. It's just you and Allah. Right? So that Allahu Akbar is a powerful experience, and Salah, the experience of the prayer, this is when you're experiencing that the essence of that, the peak of it, where it's just you and Allah. But when you're back into the world, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala still reminds us, Allahu Akbar, Allah is greater. And so we're earning money, we're doing all of these things. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, can you give some of it up for Allah? Are you willing to give some of it up for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You have all this energy, you have all this time. Are you willing to spend it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? I know you need to go make money, save your family, protect you this, and pay for the cable and other things. But can you put some time aside for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Isn't Allah greater than all of these things? Doesn't Allah deserve more from us than the worldly calls deserve, is taking from us? And so the programming of Allahu Akbar, it deepens as time goes on. And just like Iman has levels, Kufr has also levels. And one of the interesting stories Isa alayhi salam, had gone through in his life, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam shared with us, and you might have heard this before. Very interesting story. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said Isa alayhi salam was traveling with his companions, and they were really hungry. They didn't have any food. It was a time of famine. Everything, prices were rising. They didn't have a lot of money. So the Prophet Isa alayhi salam, he said, who's going to put some money together so we can get some food? He did a fundraising event. And some of the Hawariyun, they got together, the disciples of Isa alayhi salam, the Sahaba of Isa alayhi salam, they dig their pockets, and they're on journey. They're all musafir. They're all traveling. So they don't have a lot of things to give. They gathered everything they had, and they gave it to the Prophet. Isa alayhi salam counted it. It was a very minuscule amount. And he said, who's going to go to the marketplace and bring us some bread? One person said, I'll do it. He said, here's the money, go buy some bread. The man went to the marketplace. He wanted to buy some bread. The prices are rising. Everything is expensive. And what happened? When he bought the bread, the money was only good for 3 loaves of bread. And he's thinking, there are so many people over there. They're all there. And we have only, 3 loaves of bread. How is this going to be enough? How is this going to be enough? And that's the fear that shaitan whispers to you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, shaitan, he promises you poverty. If you spend, bad things going to happen. Oh my God. And people will become like super accountants, right? Especially when it comes to donating. When we're buying other things like a nice car, computer, this and that, it's okay. Money flows, no problem. But when the time comes to spend for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, suddenly we have a whole budget in our mind. Okay, I need this for this, I need this for that, and then we take out $5. Here you go. Guy makes $7,000, $8,000 a month. $5 for the sake of Allah. Right? And so what happens? The man is having these thoughts, these whispers. 3 loaves of bread is not enough. You're still going to be hungry. You're still going to feel this pain. Why don't you eat one of them and just give the 2 back? He doesn't know. He hasn't come to the marketplace. So the man is convinced by shaitan, taken over by his desires. He eats 1 loaf of bread. He takes back 2 to Isa alayhi salam. Here's the bread, O Prophet of God. Fake smile. Isa alayhi salam receives it. He says, where's the 3rd loaf of bread? The man says, O Prophet of God. And whenever somebody is confronted with the truth, you have 2 options. Either follow the truth or reject the truth. This is how it works. And you either are among the believers who, when the truth comes, Allahu Akbar, you follow. Allah is greater. The truth is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or kafar. You hide the truth. You cover it up. Cover comes from kafar. You know what cover means? To hide something. Kafar is what? To hide something. To hide the truth. And so the man says, O Prophet of God, he chooses the other path, the left-hand path. He says, there was only 2 loaves of bread. And Isa alayhi salam has a choice. And this happens a lot of times when you're raising kids, when you're dealing with family situation, when you're dealing with your employees. People will lie to you. And sometimes they're lying to you. What do you do? Is it wise every time somebody lies to you to pick up the stick and say, you liar, boom, boom, hit him on the head? Is it wise to do that? Or do you choose your battles? Do you pick the right moment? The nice, wise moment where it can have the most impact? Isa alayhi salam chooses to be patient. He says, okay, no problem. It's not wise to confront a liar every single time. Sometimes you have to let it go. He says, no problem, let's go. He divides the bread among the Hawariyun, they eat, and they go on. They arrive to a place where something smells really bad. And all the Hawariyun, they hold their nose and say, wow, what foul smell, what rotten smell. And Isa alayhi salam comes across and he sees that there's a carcass, a dead deer on the floor. And of course, when something dies, what happens? It stings. Right? It stinks. And similarly, our bodies, everything in this world, it's something that dies. Something that dies. And Isa alayhi salam, looking at that situation, it's a situation of death and ugliness. He focuses on one beauty that he finds. He says, look how white his teeth are. The dead deer. Look how white his teeth are. SubhanAllah. Right? And so he's teaching us, you have to focus on the good things. Yeah, there's a lot of bad things, but focus on the good things. And then he says, take a look at this. Ya Allah, oh the most powerful one. Oh the creator of the heavens and the earth. Oh the giver of life. Bring this deer back to life. And make it food for us. SubhanAllah. Shaitan says, 3 loaves of bread is not going to be enough. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is now giving them rizq from unexpected places. From where they didn't even think about. That deer jumps back up and starts moving, and they grab him, and Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. They slaughter the deer. They make shish kebabs. And they sit down, campfire, they eat the food, mashallah, everybody's happy, nice steak and everything. And after they have eaten their fill, Isa alayhi salam is sitting there, and he looks over to that person and he says, I ask you by Allah, the one who brought this deer back to life, who ate the 3rd loaf of bread? In other words, Allah can give rizq, just accept the truth. What happened to the 3rd loaf of bread? Just admit, shaitan got me, or I messed up, I wronged myself. Because a believer, when they make mistakes, what do they say? رَبَّنَا ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا. Allah, we made a mistake, we wronged ourselves. Yunus alayhi salam in the belly of the whale, what was his dua? La ilaha illa anta, subhanaka, inni kuntu al-zalimin. Right? And so, the man says, again, the Prophet of God, there was only 2 loaves of bread. You just witnessed a deer come to life. Are you serious? There was only 2 loaves of bread. Okay, fine, let's go. And they keep going. Some people, man, they insist on their kufr. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. They come to a river, fast-flowing river, and they have to cross. You can't swim across it. It's very wide, and it's very strong. And Isa alayhi salam stands up and he says, Ya Allah, oh, the one who facilitates our journey. We are in this life as a journey, and we're going to you. And we have to cross the moment of death. And we have to cross that painful day. Ya Allah, make it easy for us. Let us cross this river. And he says, hold my hands. Ya Allah, hold his hands. They start crossing, and they walk on water. Allahu Akbar. Allah can make anything happen. There is a transition we have to go through between dunya and akhirah. Right? And that transition can be made very easy if you understand Allahu Akbar. And so they cross the river, all of them holding hands, and they get to the other side, and Isa alayhi salam turns around and he says, by Allah, the one who made us cross this river with ease, who ate the 3rd loaf of bread? The man says, oh, Prophet of God, there was only 2 loaves of bread. Okay. You just walked on water, you realize that? Yes. 2 loaves of bread, fine. The one who gave you eyes and ears, do you think he can't see? The one who gave us life, making our hearts beat, beat after beat. You think he doesn't know? You think he doesn't know? Really? Right? When we're private in our homes, when we're alone with our thoughts, do you think he's not looking, he's not listening? Allahu Akbar. And so, Isa alayhi salam, he says, okay, fine, let's go. They travel. Many, many months later, they come to a desert. And it's an empty desert. There is nothing there. Nothing. Just dunes, sand dunes here and there. Hot. The sun is, burning. And Isa alayhi salam, he stops in the middle of nowhere and he sits down. And the Hawariyun around him, they're wondering, what is he going to teach us now? Is this some kind of sign, some kind of message? So they're waiting. And Isa alayhi salam starts piling some sand on the floor. Piling some sand. Dead earth. Sand is dead earth. In the middle of the desert, there is no rain, nothing grows from it, it's dead earth. It's of no use, of no benefit. He starts piling the sand, piling the sand, piling the sand, and then he turns around and he says, Ya Allah, O the one who causes things to change, O the one who alternates the day and the night, O the one who brings who brings out the sun and shines the darkness out, shines the light out of, and extinguishes the darkness. O the one who turns the seasons and everything, says, turn these sands into gold. Allahu Akbar. Allah can make it happen. 3 huge heaps of gold. How much is gold? 1 ounce. How much? 1,500? 1,300. Imagine you have this much gold. That's maybe like 20 kilograms or 30 kilograms. That's millions and millions of dollars. You have 2, you have 3 of them, that's probably close to $1 billion. And all the Hawariyun, they're seeing this miracle take place in front of them. Of course they are human. Their hearts go, wow, look at all of this gold. And Isa alayhi salam says, this one, it's for me. And they're all waiting. Okay, who's going to get the next one? He says, this one is for the person who bought us the bread. Because he went to the town and bought us bread. He says, and this 3rd one is for the person who ate the 3rd loaf of bread. And now, the man is fighting with his nafs. He's like, oh my God, this gold, I have to speak the truth. Some people, they will side with the truth only when it's to their benefit. When they feel like this truth is going to help me, that's when they're going to stand up and say, this is the haq, this is the truth, I'm telling. And when the truth is against them, you know what they do? They cover it up. And so he says, oh, Prophet of God, I have something to tell you. Oh, what is it? He says, you know, when you sent me to the place to buy bread, you know what happened? The bread was very expensive. I could only buy 3 loaves. 3 loaves, you said? Yeah, and I ate the 3rd loaf. Can I have that gold? Okay, this is yours. Take it. He gives him the 3rd pile of gold. He says, and you know, I'm a prophet of God. I am not a worldly person. I have no need for this here. Why don't you keep mine too? He gives him all 3 piles of the gold. He says, but you have all of this gold. You have to look after your wealth. You know, so one thing, don't come with us anymore. Just take care of yourself. The man is so happy. He says, no problem. You know, I'm happy. It's okay. You guys can go. May Allah give you a safe journey. And he gained something and he lost something. This is the way it works. Every time you gain something, you lose something. And sometimes, some people, they trade what is better for what is worse. You know, Musa a.s. asked his people, are you going to exchange what is better for what is worse? They came to him and they said, oh Musa, can we have some garlic and lentils and basils and this and that? And here Allah is offering them freedom. They want the food of Egypt. And Musa a.s. said, you want to exchange what is better for worse? Similar case, this man exchanged the company of the prophets, the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all the blessings of the hereafter for few minuscule piles of gold. And look what it got. Now the story gets dark. The man staying there with his gold, Isa a.s. walks away with the companions, and some of them are looking back and they're thinking, I wish I was in his place, I wish I had all of this gold, but Isa a.s. says, let's go, and they go. After some time, the man starts thinking, how am I going to take this gold back to the city? I have to deposit it to my bank account. And if you have a lot of money, you suddenly show out of nowhere, and you try to take it to the bank account, what happens? You get some difficulty. IRS will come after you. Well, in his case, it's not the IRS. He has to move the money physically from the desert to the city. And he's thinking, there's no way to do that. I need some help. So he starts going around looking for help. He finds 3 people. He says, can you come help me take this gold to the city? He said, gold? Yeah, we'll help you, sure. Everybody loves gold. So they come and they see the amount of gold, and Shaitan comes to them and says, this guy's going to pay you like, you know, a few dimes, and he's making all of his money. Why don't you just get rid of him? And you can have all of that for yourself. So the 3 of them, they look at each other, they're like, okay, one of them pulls out a knife, they jump the man, and they kill him, and they take all of the gold. Now, they're having a discussion. Well, there's 3 piles, there's 3 of us, one for you, one for me, one for him. Is that a fair deal? Yeah, that's fair, but you know what? I was the one who hit him on the head, but I was the one who distracted him, and they're fighting, and finally they agree, fine, we'll divide it equally. Still, we can't take all of it to the city. We need to bring a cart and some food. Why don't you go bring a cart and food for us? Here's some gold, we'll buy it. One of them says, yeah, I'm going to go. He takes the money, he goes to the city. And he's thinking, those 2 Conjus people, they're going to keep all of this, they're probably going to try to cheat me out of my wealth. I need to get rid of them fast. So he buys food, he buys poison, he mixes poison with the food, and he takes it back. The other 2 while sitting there, they're thinking, when he comes back, we know he's not the smartest one amongst us. Money in his hands is not that good anyway. Why don't we get rid of him? And we can share his share also. We can split. And they agree, shake hands, we're going to kill him and take his wealth. And so when the man comes back with the food, one of them says, oh, we're right here. The other one jumps up from behind him, boom, he's on the floor, dead. And they grab the food, and they're happy. They just killed their friend. They're happy. Money can make people do that. People turn against their families because of money. People, when it comes to inheritance and all of these things, subhanAllah, you see the cases that happen, even in the Muslim world. You will be shocked how money can turn people against each other. And so, these 2 are now happy, they're shaking hands, we did it! We did a good thing! Allahu Akbar, look at all of our wealth now! And they start eating the food. They die. Isa a.s. is now returning after some time with the companions, and the same companions, they recognize, oh, this is where we left our brother, you know, with all of this wealth. I wish I was in his place. And as they're thinking this, they come back and they see his dead body on the floor. And now they're thinking, whoa, thank God I was not in his place. And they see 3 other dead bodies. What happened here? What happened here? Isa a.s. makes a dua, Ya Allah, let us find out what happened. One of the guys wakes up from death. He tells him exactly what happened, and then he goes back to being dead. Isa a.s. points to that gold and he says, this is the mata of dunya. This is the enjoyment of this dunya. This is the beautification of this dunya. Whoever seeks this in exchange for akhirah, you see this will be their outcome. And so, sadaqah is proof. Even though we love wealth, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Allahu Akbar, akhirah is better for you. Give it away as much as you can. And the disbelievers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِذَا لَقُوا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. When the believers say to the disbelievers, spend out of what Allah gave to you. The disbelievers say to them, why should we give to people? Allah can give them if He wants. If Allah can turn sand into gold, and there is a person in need, Allah can turn sand into gold for him. Why do I have to give him money? But it's a test for you. You see, the wealth is in your pockets. It doesn't belong to you. You have to give it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, are you willing to give Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a small loan? And this is an embarrassing question, because it belongs to Allah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking you, can you give me a loan? Imagine if your parents came to you, and your parents, the ones that raised you, gave you, life, and brought you up from a childhood when you were helpless, and then when you're old and they're in need, and they come to you and say, can you give me some loan? And I'll pay you back, I promise, and I'll double it for you. Really, Dad? Mom, why are you saying this? It's all yours, you take it, But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who gave all of it, and He's asking us, oh human beings, can you give me some loan? And so, last 10 nights of Ramadan is here. One advice, if you forget everything I said, take benefit from these last 10 nights. And one of them could be Laylatul Qadr. So give whatever you can. If you want to donate $1,000, $10,000, $10, divide it in 10 and give a little bit each night. If it falls for Laylatul Qadr, Allahu Akbar. It's as if you have given that much money every night for 83 years of your life. And so take this advice, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase our iman and increase our taqwa, and may Allah accept from us our prayers and fasting. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد. Some etiquettes of giving sadaqah. Aisha, radiallahu anha, our mother, when she had some dates, she was at home, she was eating dates, and somebody came knocking on the door asking for wealth or money or something. And she had only half a date in her hand, and she had nothing else inside the house. So she gave the person the half a date. And the person was like, this is all you give me, half a date? And she said, didn't you hear Rasulullah say, save yourself from hellfire, even if it's with half a date? And when she used to have some wealth, she used to go out and give it to the people, but she used to get some perfume and put it on the wealth, on the money. And she would apply perfume on the money and then go give it to the poor. And somebody asked her, why are you doing that? Here's, you're going to give it to them. They're not going to sit there and smell the money. They're going to go and buy some food or something. She said, you think I'm giving this money in the hands of the people? She said, this money is leaving my hands and it's falling in the hands of Ar-Rahman. And I wanted to beautify it as much as possible so that when He receives it, subhanAllah, right? It's out of love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And another thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَا تُبْطِلُوا صَدَقَاتِكُمْ. Don't make your sadaqahs worthless by bragging about it, by showing off, or by reminding somebody you did kindness to. Say, remember what I did for you last year? You were looking for a job and I gave you a job. Remember that? Yeah, you were in need. Don't do that. This will get rid of all the reward you're going to get from that act. And if you don't have money to give, it's fine. Smiling is sadaqah. Removing hardship from somebody's life is sadaqah. Helping out in the masjid is sadaqah. Teaching somebody something is sadaqah. Everything that is good, that is within your capacity, is sadaqah. And so we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst the musaddiqeen. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us this higher waves of tawfiq, and to not let us die except in the state of Islam. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us realize the depths of Allahu Akbar. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make our last words, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, wa akhiru da'wana, and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, aqimus salam.